Hi everybody, we're here to paint your champ. So right now I'm going to start off with yellow. And I'm going to do all the yellow spots first. Just take your time and go super slow. If you have a smaller paintbrush, that will help too. And don't worry about making a mistake because it's not wrong, it's your own creation. So we have his beak that is yellow. We have the tips of his feathers that are yellow too. And take your time. Like I said, no need to rush, no need to worry about making a mistake because none of them are mistakes. And just keep going slowly with your paintbrush. Just slowly through. If you've got some clumpy spots, you can pick it up with your paintbrush. Not a big deal. Just calmly go through. We're almost done with the yellow, but we're not going to throw the yellow away. We're going to keep it. So you all have tubes or containers of yellow. So don't worry about it. Just put it to the side and make sure you clean your paintbrush in between. So I have cleaned my paintbrush. Now I'm going to check it on my paper towel to make sure it's good and clean. And it is. Now I've gone with the color blue next. And we're just going to take a little bit of that blue and we're going to fill in good old Champ's head. Slowly outline. You see I made a little mistake there. Not worried about it. Adds personality to the piece. I don't have a whole lot of paint on my brush because I don't want to make a big glop of paint. And then I'm using my paint and I'm working it through nice and easy. I'm going to go around here, pick up a little more paint. Now I'm going to slow down and I'm going to go slow in here. Just taking my time. Can always fix things later or be okay with it. I hope everybody is having fun painting. Very serious moment here. Some big thoughts as I go through and I paint the rest of his face over here. Then a little bit of his neck. And I go down. Now I have to remember to do the top of his head, which is right here. So we have a little spike in his hair and it comes down. And a little spike in his hair. And it comes down. And be careful not to stick your hand in the paint like I just did. You can always let the paint dry in between if you would like. You don't have to, though. See how I have my hand tipped up here? Just a little bit of paint on me. Caught it just in time as a reminder. Stop putting your hand down. And I'm just doing tiny strokes. Just tiny strokes. Nothing big. Just to keep it going. There we go. Now I'm going to do around my letters. Again, tiny strokes. If you don't want to add blue behind your letters in the sample piece, that is okay. You do not have to do that at all. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint that in just in case somebody wants to give it a try. Or if you don't want to paint behind or around the letters, you can paint the letters themselves. Now, some of you may not want to use your paintbrush in here. That's okay. If you have markers, you can take your markers out and color on there too. You can do that anywhere on here if you don't want to use your paint. Your markers will work just fine too. Now there's a line here, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that in all the way around. And I know you all can see it. You see I made a mistake. I'm not worried about my mistake at all. Not at all. Mistakes happen. And in paint, we cannot erase, so we work with what happens. And that's okay. We just tell people we used our creative license. Tell them that's what a real artist does. A real artist makes mistakes. We don't just point them out. And everybody works differently, and that's a good thing. Because if we were all alike, boy, would it be boring out there. So just go ahead, take your time. If you've chosen to use markers here, good job. It may be easier with your markers. If you have not and you've taken the challenge for paint, hooray. Thank you. See, I'm just taking my time. I'm not rushing through it. I want to enjoy the process. Maybe my Baroque music in the background is helping. So I just go down, down, and then I go swoop up, and then bring the paintbrush down. You know what? Because I have all this canvas here, if you want to go all the way down with your paint, you can. You don't have to follow the rules on this. Have fun. This way your piece will stand out. Now I'm going to be really careful in here. I'm going to fill in the middle. There we go. All right. And swoop down. So now all of my blue spots are done. Next, I'm going to use the color red, but first I have to clean my paintbrush. So I'll be right back. Okay, next up is the color red. Now, Champ has just a little bit on his face, but the background has a lot of red. So I'm going to use my small paintbrush first to do Champ's face. Just nice and slow. Nice and slow, short strokes as I move it down. This is one serious turkey. And then a little more paint on my brush. Again, small strokes. Go up and around. And there we go. That is his face. Now I am going to use the paint that's on this brush to do little pieces of the background. So right here, I'm going to fill in that spot with my little brush. Then I have this spot here that I'm going to just slowly go down and outline this with my little brush. So I have all these little corners that I made in the paint in the sketch. So I'm just going to go fill those in. And if you think you're having problems and you're thinking it's easier to move your canvas, go ahead and move your canvas so that you can easily work in spots or avoid getting paint on your hand. Mine is taped down to the table so it doesn't slide away, but yours can get spun around to make it easier to work. So by all means, let your canvas move around. It's a lot easier that way. Believe me. Just going to do a little more with this brush, and then I'm going to switch to a bigger brush. But I want to make sure that with my little brush, I'm not, sorry about my arm. My little brush, I have more control. And then it's okay to fill in all that background with some scribblies from our paintbrush. And we didn't waste any paint. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, so I switched paintbrushes so I could get some better coverage. I'm picking up some of this red here, and now I'm just going to go and smoosh that paint onto the canvas. Oh, I ran a little bit onto Champ, but that's okay. He won't mind. He's one tough turkey anyway. and I have brown to do later. So we're not going to worry about that. Those little mistakes happen. And we're going to go up here. And see how I'm just rotating my brush? Pressing down and pulling away. Pressing down and pulling away. Just like with your pencil, with your paintbrush where you put the paint down, it's going to be darker and more evenly spread where you put your paintbrush down first, and then gets lighter as you pull away. So it's okay to go back in and move it around again. We go up top here, oops, and we smoosh it up, and we smoosh it up. There we go. So now the whole back of my canvas is red, and we have some white. And if I wanted to, I could go down here and add some red in down here. Champ is very patriotic. He's feeling his red, white, and blue. Oops, and I got a little bit of blue on with my red, and that's okay. Why did that happen? Because I didn't let it dry. So if you feel that you need to let yours dry, you can let it dry in between. This doesn't have to get done really super quick. I'm going to do a little bit of touch up because I have some spots up here that I see I missed. Some here, down here. Just make my paintbrush dance a little bit. It's got to wiggle it. 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 There we go. A little bit of wiggling. Okay. So next up is the color brown. If you don't have the color brown, it's okay, because we're going to take all of these colors and we're going to make what is an earthy brown. So if we mix them all together, we have a really dark color. It's not quite a brown, but it's not a blue, and it's not really a purple. If we added a little more red to it, we would have some deeper color. But I'm pretty okay with this mishmash of color here. I like it, and I think that's how I'm going to paint my turkey. So I'm going to be right back again. So you'll notice that there's a difference now. I went and added a little more yellow to my mixture, and I got a good brown. So if you think you have too much blue in your paint, you can add more yellow to make it brown. So now I have all this paint on my paintbrush. I am going to use a smaller paintbrush to clean that off. And I'm going to use that because this is too much. There's too much on here for me to use. So now I'm just going to go around good old champ here very slowly. And I'm going to give him a nice brown feathers. He's coming together quite nicely. He would like to be done and go hang on your wall. See, I'm just taking my time and I'm following the lines that I've got on here from before. Just taking my time. I'm going to go up the center here a little bit. This turkey is not fooling around. He's happy that it's Easter around the corner and not Thanksgiving. I'm going to get some more of that paint off of there. Remember, if you are struggling, turn your canvas. Why should you struggle if all you have to do is turn your canvas? You can spin it clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever makes it easier for you. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my cup o' paint. And here we go. Slowly and carefully. Slowly and carefully. And remember, it's okay to have little accidents on the canvas. In your painting, nobody knows, and they don't have to point it out. It's your artistic license to make changes as you see fit. So if you have different paints at home and don't want to paint your turkey these colors, you can use your paints. If you have good markers at home, you can use your markers too. Nobody's saying that you have to use these colors. These are just colors that we gave to you to help you make your painting. There is no wrong way to do this, only your way. And hopefully you'll like this enough to hang it up in your room or in your game room or your living room, or maybe you want to give it to someone as a gift. Art is a great gift. Just take your time and go through. Don't forget about his muscles. If you take your paintbrush and you move it like you're tracing a line from above and aside, your line will still be there because that's what your paintbrush directed it to do. So just take your time and go around and around. Think about your paintbrush ice skating along, but then it hit a bump because it needs more paint. And then pick up some more paint and ice skate around And there you go. And I have little mistakes down here, but I don't care. Now I'm going to run my paintbrush down and I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go up. And I'm going to go up. And I'm going to go up and up and up. And we are almost done. So I'm going to run my paintbrush back over. And I know from my reference photo I have one feather here, one feather here, and one feather here. Then he's got his bulging turkey muscles. Do turkeys have muscles like that? He must go to the gym a lot. Okay. And I'm going to let this dry a little, and I'll be right back. Decided to share this. I have a little bit of this dark purple left over. This is some really dark purple. So I thought I would use that for his eyes instead of the black marker that I was going to use. So I'm just going to go in, make him look all serious. I have this tiny paintbrush here. I'm just going to go in and give him his eyeballs. And I can go and add some definition in here. I don't have to add a lot. Oh, now I'm getting fancy. Go back in over here. Pull this up here. Pull this up here. If you want to get super fancy like this, I'm just showing some texture. You don't have to worry about that if you don't want to. It's just texture is fun. And there's already stuff happening texture-wise from our paintbrushes before. This is just a little enhancement. I'm going to go down from here and up and back up. I'm going to go back over that. I didn't have enough paint on my brush. And here. Then back down here where I stopped. Here. Just making them a little bit more me. So next I'm going to look at my reference photo that is online, and I'm going to go and I'm going to use this instead of the marker to trace his body, because I figure I've already got this dark paint here and I can do this in blue or red or black. It all depends on your interest. Or you can wait until it's all dry and do it with your Sharpie marker. Whatever you decide to do is okay, because it is your painting. And we've got a little bit of muscle stuff going on here. If I remember correctly, there's one feather here. There's one feather here. There's one more here. It's just some nice curved triangles. Boop, boop, and boop. Now this muscle has to come all the way over here. Then I can go and I can do this. This. And like this. Now, if you decide to go ahead and you want to outline him all in your Sharpie marker, that is fine too. If you feel like you want to paint in his name with marker or paint, you can do that too. Just put some little finishing touches on here. Oop, I'm getting gloopy again with my paint. It's fine. That's not a big deal because it turns out and it's my painting. I'm gonna outline his head just a little bit. Oop, too much paint. There we go. All right. It's looking good. I'll go ahead and I'll outline up here with my paint. And I hope you're all having fun doing this because it's supposed to be a fun thing to do. Painting should be fun. Oops. And remember, if you're feeling frustrated at all, think about how many times you've actually done this exact painting with these paints on this surface. For me, it's a lot because I practiced. For you, it's probably your first time. And with it being your first time, I think you did an excellent job because sometimes just trying it is what's super important. So I give everybody applause for creating Champ the Turkey. I'm sure you all did great work for your first time ever painting Champ. And if you ever want to paint Champ again, you can go back to the video and find Champ and paint him over again. And here you go. My Champ is done. He's very serious. hope you all had fun, and I hope to see you this summer.